All right, everybody, welcome back to the Screen Love Affair podcast. And I just want to preface this episode by saying that this episode and the episodes going forward will have a little bit of a different feel to them. We're trying to just basically dive right into discussing the movie. When we conceived of the idea of the podcast, it was really born out of a conversation Brandon and I had after we had both seen Alien. What even was it? Alien Romulus? And
Yes.
we just passionately dove into his defense of mediocrity and slop and my, vigorous rebuttal to such mediocrity. But it was all about the movie itself. And so sort of to counteract this, we're changing our content sort of offering here at Screen Love Affair to be a little bit more diverse. The podcast is not going to be the single vehicle for us anymore. So today we're talking about Project Hail Mary. If you don't know anything about that movie, if you want a spoiler-free review of that movie, we posted it on Spotify, on YouTube. You can go and watch or listen to that right now. And once you see the movie, because go see the movie on the biggest screen you possibly can, come back here and listen to us talk about the movie and chat about our experience, what we liked, what we didn't like, but diving right into the movie itself. So I'm pretty sure I covered everything I wanted to on the outset. I'm excited to kick this off. And I'll start by saying I absolutely loved this movie. I'm pretty sure you both saw it in IMAX. I still have yet to see it in IMAX, so I will be doing that. But Brandon, I know for you, Adriana and I both saw like Monday preview screenings or whatever, like early fan screenings or something. But you went in the throes of the crazy busy weekend. You were texting me and I was like, what was this experience like for you? Because this movie is blowing up and for a good reason, but I'm very excited to see that you were actually having a chaotic time at the movie theater because it was so busy.
Yeah, my girlfriend said, "This is what you wanted, right?" As I was 15 people back in the line waiting for concessions for about 25 minutes before the show started. Still made it on time on like half the audience that showed up. Probably almost by the first flashback. I was like, where were you guys? They all showed up probably right for the 8 o'clock start and had a 30-minute concession wait. So it was pretty crazy. I would say the funniest thing, the pandemonium, and the worst part is I held up the line. I get to the front and as you can tell, I'm strapped in. I love the movie. And I was like, do you have the Hail Mary popcorn bucket and cup? And the poor Cineplex employee had no idea what I was talking about. She went to fill the popcorn bucket, which is the Cineplex one with the astronaut, Ryan Gosling, beaming down a light into a bowl. And again, I think that's neat, but terrible because like you don't want an LED light popcorn bucket lighting up in front of you in the theater. And so she went to go fill that with basically a liter of Diet Coke. And I'm like, no, the cup. I want the cup. And then she looks around and she's like, cup? And I was like, oh no, Regal, AMC, they're doing a great job with their promotional popcorn buckets and cups. Cineplex, not so much. Again, almost got a liter in a bowl. I almost did it just for the meme to add to this experience, but I feel like
you
the story
drank
serves
it.
enough.
That's without question, bro.
Without question, I would ask for a
Diet
refill.
Coke wouldn't have lasted the first third of the film.
Yeah, exactly. So no, it was pandemonium though. It was at 8 o'clock at the biggest IMAX downtown. I would say. I'd say second biggest. I think the Scotiabank in Toronto has a better IMAX. It feels more vertical, where this one felt like honestly just like a really big screen. This is what my friends call LIMAX, where it's the IMAX experience, but like not necessarily giving you the best aspect viewing experience.
I mean, we only have LIMAX in Canada, right? Like, aside from like the specialty.
Yeah. The true IMAX, the 70 mil in Vaughan, has been sold out for like 8 weeks since the pre-sale. I didn't get in on that. I checked my phone at 10 a.m. at work and they were already sold out. So I was like, oh, great. I'm glad I checked my film influencers saying, buy your pre-sale tickets posted 3 hours ago, and then went to go check it and it was already sold out. So between the two LIMAX options, I think I didn't get the best LIMAX, if that's what that makes sense.
Which one did you go to? Scotia?
No, I went to the Yonge and Dundas Square one, which is also like Yonge and Dundas Square. It's like the Times Square or Sankofa Square now they call it. But the Cineplex app still says Yonge and Dundas Square, so I'll refer to it as that for this. But long story long, it was packed. It was downtown Toronto on a Saturday afternoon with moderately decent weather. Everybody in their family was there. There's like an anime convention happening. There's people coming in wearing like pirate costumes and stuff. Like I saw some people looking like K-pop demon hunters in my screening. It was a madhouse. And again, like all concessions open, 15 people lined up per concession. So when you talk about the pandemonium of this, like just nuts. The movie has grossed, I think it was like 33 million on opening day, which is the highest grossing non-franchise movie opening of all time, apparently. So that's really good, but it reflects it in the weekend crowd, that's for sure.
I feel so out of it because I did not know that it's been blowing up. I don't know how it's been doing. I like almost didn't even go to see it in the screening I went. I just shout out to Evan and his brother for like, they had an extra ticket and I was like, yeah, I'll go. And it was like a pretty chill screening too. Like it wasn't even full. So yeah, but we did get these cute little amaze pins at the end, which was fun. Yeah. So I'm glad I got to see it in IMAX accidentally, basically. But
yeah,
I did the Dolby one in the Forum, which was still a much bigger screen than normal. I feel really bad. I've had people texting me from back home, like going to like Collingwood and Owen Sound to see it, and I think like Connor was like, "Dude, I'm going to the biggest one. I think it's like D-Box or something." I was like, "No, Connor, not D-Box. Save yourself."
The
so
Screen X.
Yeah, I was.
I almost saw it in Screen X to meme on you guys because I know you're an avid hater of it, and I was like, this would be the Screen X movie if there were any, but no, I'm glad I saw it in standard IMAX. I would say I'm surprised you've heard nothing about it or like as brain rotted as I've been, because like the marketing for this has been nuts. There was a literal laser light drone show happening at the Toronto Harbourfront I could see from my condo on the lakeshore. So like I've been inundated with ads even without trying. Like from my front window I could see Rocky being assembled in the stars. Like great thematic marketing. And then obviously there's like they put Rocky in his glass enclosure in like London, I guess, in London, England. And I've just been seeing a ton of like fun alternative marketing, which I, as the overhyper of movies, loves to see. So I feel like that added a lot.
Actually, that's a great point, because that was one of my questions I wanted to ask, was how you guys felt about the marketing, particularly the trailer I saw that shows Rocky. Now, I saw that, I think, at the second to last movie I saw before this movie in theaters, and I had dodged that the whole time. I haven't read the book. I saw in the early trailer, it's like the thumb kind of thing, like placed on the glass. And so I was like fine with that concept, that part, but like I really kind of do wish I didn't see the whole character beforehand. To the movie's credit, it doesn't draw that out incredibly long. Like it's not an incredibly suspenseful beat or something like that they like shroud overwhelmingly in mystery for a long time.
I would disagree.
I do feel like I feel like I get why, like it's such a critical component of the movie, and if you read the book, like it's known. It's not like it's a total surprise, but I personally wish, again, this is my responsibility, I really need to just commit to either bringing like my sleep mask to just wear it through the trailers, but like it was literally
just,
like this, exactly, or just wait in the lobby until someone can text me that okay, go, and then I can run around in.
I saw 20 people walk in to like a row of seating ahead of us, like probably 20 people total over the whole theater, that walked in when the lights started dimming, and they were doing like the, now presenting at 5, 4, 3. And I was like, I think those guys waited in that corridor leaning in, having like their time and moment to not see the trailers. And I'm like, that's a pro move that I've been immune to, because I'm so afraid to fight people to get to the middle row,
I feel like I get where you're coming from with the trailer, but I feel like in this case it's like one of those cases where it's like kind of unavoidable. It just, for like, unless they went for like a really conceptual, like super teaser style trailer where like I can't even think of a good example, like what's that horror movie that's like coming out soon where
Passenger or
no, Obsession, where it's it gives you like hardly anything. Like I love trailers like that. I find them super effective, but I think if you're doing a big budget blockbuster movie like this, where a lot of people have read the book and, you know, it's in space. We kind of presumably it's not going to be a moon thing where it's just Ryan Gosling the whole time. I kind of like can see why they just like let the cat out of the bag. It's not that big a deal to me, I think.
Yeah, they got to differentiate it from First Man. You know, I think a lot of like misinformation out there was just photoshopping the title of this movie onto First Man, and people being like, Ryan Gosling goes to space, and the first teaser was like, I'm just an 8th grade teacher. What do you want me to do? So who's volunteering? Me? And that was it. Like, they didn't show Rocky or too much of the cosmic stuff. And then I think like you guys, I saw the actual trailer several times. And I'm glad they kind of showed more of it, because it's like, oh, cool, he actually makes sense as an alien. That's a way cooler premise than like plucky teacher hipster gets like drafted into outer space. So I did appreciate it, but I agree with you though. Like the 20 minutes of screen time dedicated to them playing like Message in a Bottle, I was like, when do we get to him moving into the spaceship and being his plucky side character? That's what I was promised. So I felt like there's maybe 25 minutes where I was like, this is fun and engaging, but I really want to get to like the friendship between them that was promised in the trailer and all the marketing, and you know. So
let's talk about that, because like some of the few criticisms I've seen is like how that bit of like learning the language is so glossed over and like just streamlined, and that was one of my thoughts coming out of it. I didn't like care, because I'm like, you know, functionally we need to get the plot moving, but like surely like learning an entire movie about that process and they just like shorten this into 20 minutes, and Rocky can perfectly understand Grace even though he doesn't have his own version of like a language translator. It's like only one way. So that was like one little nitpick, I guess, that you could be like, okay, it's not super realistic. Like they get the science right in a lot of other areas, but this feels like really glossed over. And yeah, I don't know.
I'm wondering if I'm just a meathead, because I just only until this moment did I was like, oh, I thought they handled that perfectly and it was paced perfectly well. But then I just had the realization, like, wait, how does he understand Ryan Gosling the whole time?
Yeah, he just learned. He knows English.
He's an evolved
the movie
being.
does an amazing job that didn't occur to me while I was watching it, I guess. I didn't even a clue. Okay, but I feel like this is also, I don't want to immediately pivot to the away, but I think this is also part of the Shay problem in this movie is the karaoke song. I had no fucking idea that was a real Harry Styles song. So I was like, oh, wow. So, because I was like, this song is so perfect for the movie, it must be an original for the film. Like I did not know that this was a song at all. And then I start seeing everyone being like, holy fuck, what a great song choice. I'm like, wait, that's a real song? And then I found that anyway, so that was another idiot brain me. So maybe my brain just wasn't functioning well this movie.
I also have like a bit of a funny thing with the song, because I was like, oh man, that was such a great moment. Sandra Hüller is like so good and like steals the show with that one song, one performance.
And then goes, okay, that's enough, and walks away.
Yeah, but I was like, oh man, what is that song? I gotta look that up after the movie, because of course I'm like out of touch. I don't really listen to Harry Styles. And then I'm looking at the soundtrack and I'm like, well, it can't be Harry Styles. So I'm like listening to the other songs. I'm like, where is this fucking song? Finally go back and play it. I'm like, oh my God, they fucking got me with this.
I feel like I'm the most Gen Z here, even though I'm not, because I'm like, yeah, I love that Harry Styles song. And technically, it's a cover of the Harry Styles song in the movie. I don't think we actually hear the song by Harry Styles. It's her karaokeing it. And I even went to go post like a story, as I do, like a Gen Z white girl that I am. I posted like the IMAX poster, and I was like, worth the hype. And then I used the song. And when I was looking it up, it had a female vocal singer, and I was like, oh, is that Sandra Hüller in the version I just used from clicking it on Instagram? So it was like not an original song, but kind of like made original by the framework in the movie where she has to cover it. But yeah, I'm actually so floored that you guys didn't know that was a Harry Styles song. It came out like in the last couple of years. Yeah, it was
well, yeah, like Adrienne, I'm also not a Harry Styles fan, boy or girl in this case. And yeah, I like literally went over my head. And again, super kudos to them for that, because like I said, I was so convinced the song was so perfect that I'm like, oh, this must be written for the film, because it works. Like every lyric felt like it worked perfectly for that whole moment, and it was fantastic. And I wanted to watch, I'm very excited for a second watch of this, just to have this little clarity beats. But as far as the language goes, like, yeah, that's the kind of thing, like, conceptually, that's a pacing killer. If you spend too much time setting, dotting the I's and crossing the
Yeah.
T's, it can really stretch the movie. And again, maybe this is part of the blockbuster formula that my brain is just wired for. But like I said, it did not even occur to me how this went the other way. And I think it's like a movie magic trick that I bet you most people that watch that will have that exact same sort of feeling.
Yeah.
If
Even
it
though
if
I
it makes you
noticed
feel
it
better.
didn't bother me at all because I was just along for the ride.
Yeah, if it makes you feel better, I agree with the pacing aspect, because I feel like anytime there's about to be a real lull and they would explain something like that, or like how Rocky was able to fill the atmosphere in all the glass fixtures that he was making on the ship and the habitats, like the way that Rocky works, being like a guy, like basically a rock spider that shoots stuff out of his ass literally and 3D prints whatever he needs for the plot. None of it bothered me, and it worked great. And I got to say, when you talk about like, oh, that meathead moment and the pacing maybe just being so good that you forget what was explained, even my girlfriend, when he's showing him the projector room about like what Earth is like, she goes, wait, how the hell can he see any of that? He's got no eyes. Like it's echolocation. Like I don't get that. And I was like, and then I felt stoned because I was like, no, babe, he's got the 3D printed rock crystal gun to look at visuals on screens. And she's like, but it's a project. Oh yeah, okay. And then I was like, am I high or is she high? Like who here missed that beat? But then it's like later he's holding it and he drops it. I'm like, yeah, that's the rock crystal space thing. And she's like, oh yeah, okay, sorry. It was such a good, well paced movie that if you blink or you zoom in too close on what they're doing, sometimes like it will just breakneck pace on some things in a good way. Because like especially when they're like only 11 days to get here, flashback, cut back, we're in the action, it ties in. It
Yeah.
was like when you did your spoiler free review and you said like the way they flash back and forth wasn't bad, like it didn't feel like they were just spoon feeding you stuff. I felt if anything it was better served just to kind of like really speed up the slow parts of the movie in a more effective way, on top of like narratively making sense. So I agree with that completely. But I had that meathead moment too, and again, like I thought I was like stone cold sober. I'm like, am I drunk or something? I'm like, they explained that, right? Like, because then he turns
But it
into
is
his
a
like
lot of
sand tablet.
information,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah,
it's a science movie, and it doesn't shy away from, like, it's not, too cerebral by any stretch, but there's just a lots of stuff going on, and you need to make enough sense of it again that people can understand what's happening and how it works and all that. So it just, like, to me, yeah, I just totally skimmed by all of that. And it was super clean for me too. Like, I thought, just like on a sort of visual level, I'm curious on the IMAX side for you, because the format, I was curious, I knew there was format changes, but I didn't know how like noticeable they would be. And for me, it was really different on even the AVX, like the form changes when they would go back and forth. And like, curious on that, and also how you guys felt about that story insertion, because I really felt like it was like an accompanying story. It didn't feel like when they usually go back and forth like this before, where it's more along the lines of, oh, it's a way we trickle out information or we try to exposit. And they do that in some cases when they explain the mission and what he's doing in space. But then, like, as it sort of got to the end and this revelation that he was like forced to go against his will and everything, like, I didn't feel like that had this kind of big emotional beat when that was revealed, because it's like, man, we're so far into the mission, like, it doesn't really matter that he was forced against his will, because, like, we're accomplishing it now, so it worked, I guess. I don't know how
I
that
I
hit
I
you
liked
wonder
guys.
it.
I wonder if it plays better in the book a little bit, because I feel like the whole sort of premise is he has amnesia, he doesn't really remember kind of how he got there, the context, and then we're sort of getting that context over time through the flashbacks. But then in the movie, it feels almost like he's sort of remembered most of what he needs to remember. He kind of is fully formed, and for a long stretch of the movie before we get to that final reveal of like, oh, he wasn't here by choice. So it maybe didn't land as hard. So that's, yeah, it's kind of my thoughts on it. But I mean, I still think it worked structurally. It helped break
Yeah.
up the pacing. As far as the aspect ratio, definitely like noticeable. All of the kind of scenes on Earth are more wider. IMAX is IMAX in space. It worked really well, like conceptually, formally. Was not done in a very like distracting way. I thought like noticeable, but not enough to like pull you out, kind of thing, and sort of helped contextualize each scene where we are. So I thought it was well done.
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking about the trailer giving stuff away and also watching my spoiler free review of Shay. I kept wondering if I would have a different experience with that exact thing of like, is the aspect ratio gimmicky? And one moment I thought I was like, oh, it is a gimmick. They're not doing it consistently. I got by the movie because it stayed in the IMAX format while he was experiencing the beach through the projector screen. And when it reveals he's just on the projector screen, not having like a flashback, I was like, oh, that's awesome. And similarly, the trailer talk, there's a shot in the trailer where he hugs Rocky while looking like in his little bubble, while looking out on like the New York skyline or something. And so when you watch that trailer, you're like, oh, they both make it back to Earth, right? When does that happen? And then when you realize that's also on the projector screen, and like that's like I was like, oh, okay, like almost like the I paid attention to the trailer, where's my reward? The inversion of that was nice enough to offset it. So um yeah, I thought that worked great. And on the note of like the flashback to find out it was an involuntary volunteer position he took, I absolutely thought that was great because the scene when he's on the flight deck with Hewler and he's like, oh, I can't believe you're sending all these people off to die. That's such a hard call and da 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 da. At that point in the movie, I wasn't sure if he had signed up or if he was going or if he made that choice. And, like it was more about his thought about going and dying. So when, they ultimately kind of show even that explosion that's in the trailer at the military base, I was like, when does that happen? How does that play in? And then when you find out how it does with that killing the science team that he has to replace, ultimately showing you that whole like involuntary surrender that goes down. I was like, oh, that's again to me, I was like, that really paints in stuff I was wondering, but it wasn't like holding me up mentally. And ultimately, I think it services the big theme here, where he then volunteers to go back for Rocky. He realizes he could just go home a hero, had this crazy story, but he's like, you know what? Unlike the mission that I didn't volunteer for and succeeded, I got to go back. I got to volunteer to do the right thing this time because I didn't last time. So, I think even as a meathead, I was like, that thematically really worked, inserting it so late into the story. For me, at least, I really dug that, and it was another good source of laughs. Even him seeing Carl, who was like, it's cool, man, you'll be fine. You know what I mean? Carl was such a surprise supporting cast member of that whole movie.
That, to me, that was my issue with it, was tonally it felt sort of like off, because it's not really a funny moment, but they play it a bit comedically with Ryan Gosling doing his like running around, and it doesn't help that a guy like a few seats down was just losing. He was laughing his ass off. He was guffawing, and I'm just
My
like,
whole theater
I
was
like.
yeah.
I was like heartbroken because I was like, I really trusted Sandra Hüller. I liked her. I was like on board with her. And now this like totally recontextualizes that sort of relationship. And it felt really like a violation of like what he wanted and his choice. So to me, it felt like kind of off to like play it as like this comedic moment. And then there isn't really any resolution with that. Like he just kind of is fine with it. And then accepts
well, it made
like,
the most sense. Like he was the right man. He was the ultimate reluctant hero, like I found myself during the movie thinking, would I volunteer? And I thought, well, yeah, if I was on the ground floor from day one and I was the main character without knowing it, I feel like I would have enough main character energy to volunteer myself. Like, would you guys volunteer for this mission if you were
There's no Diet
in
Coke,
that boat?
Brandon. You would not be going, dude.
Dude, when he had the 3 bags of vodka, I was like, I'd be fine. That's good. I'm wearing my Smirnoff beanie for this. So
3 days, maybe, if I'm being generous, bro. 3 bags of vodka. No, See that? Well, hey, Brandon, first of all, what you just said made me be like, holy fuck, dude, these trailers. If I think the definitive answer here is like, if people need to see a bunch of shit before they go to a movie, okay, then you need to see a bunch of shit before you go to the movie. I need to fucking dodge these things like the plague. Like the fact that you were saying like, oh, the beach scene and they were sitting there and like part of the projection, but it was at the end of the movie when they were on his fucking planet and the globe thing. Like,
No,
if I
that beach
fucking
scene
knew that,
wasn't in there. It was
okay,
it
I was
was
gonna
the
say,
middle montage where he's hugging Rocky and they're looking at the New York
right,
skyline.
okay,
So I was like, oh, they go to Earth,
gotcha.
and then when I realized they have a holodeck, I was like,
But even
and then
that, like,
yeah,
I feel like if I'm in my fucking head about things I know I've seen in the trailer, it would drive me nuts because I didn't know shit about this whatsoever. And so like I was really kind of just going off the seat of my pants. And so that's what I kind of mentioned to the ending itis a little bit, like because I didn't really know where this was going whatsoever. Every new beat was I'm like, oh, they might end here, and it didn't, and it didn't. And I again very glad that it didn't, but like I think that saves so much. So again, just reaffirming that I need to dodge those like the plague. But the Sandra Hüller bit, I don't know, like, I thought that was super clear from the outset, and I guess maybe I wasn't shocked by it. I understand the tonal thing because it's just sort of a gap between what's happening and like
Yeah.
how you're presenting it, because this is a bleak like, yeah, I'm forcing you to go into space and basically die on a suicide mission, because that's what I do. But I thought she was such a cold ice queen the whole time and
Yeah,
just kind of
fair.
was like, no, that's what I do. I just tell them and I send them on things and they do that
average
because I
Eastern
say
European
so.
woman, the
Yeah,
whole
like
movie.
she
It's
was,
like
she
I'm
was
having great time.
incredibly well
Yes.
typecast.
Yeah,
Yeah, she was
perfect.
incredibly
Yeah.
well cast for that
Fair
from
enough.
a
Fair
region
enough.
perspective. So I guess when it happened, like the whole time, like I think she said it like much earlier. There was just like what it kind of at the time seemed like a throwaway line of like, no, it's because I say that's what happens, so they go or whatever. And I was just like, oh, this is gonna be how he ends up on the ship. Like I didn't even conceive of like I didn't know about the explosion. So when she says that, I'm like, oh, she's just gonna force him to go. And then I'm like, oh, when the explosion happened, I'm like, oh, okay, so now there's like even more reason now that he has to be the one to go. So it made me more sympathetic to her, being like, yeah, you got to do what you got to do, bro. But yeah, no, I just thought like again the
As a
pacing
workaholic,
and
I
the
love that
writing
message.
side.
I
Yeah,
support
well,
this
yeah, that's
message.
exactly the thing you needed to hear. But yeah, no, on the like pacing side of it and the story component, like I thought the whole kind of like even the scenes where the world was like working together and like he arrives there and they're like, you now have clearance and we're gonna explain the whole kit and caboodle to you. Like I loved the back and forth and this like the dialogue and that energy. And I feel like this is where the scene that you were talking about where he gets told he's forced to go just sort of totally worked with the whole rest of the movie. Even if it didn't make sense for that beat, it totally was in line with everything else. And I think I was just enjoying that part of it so much, and like that I could tell that the crowd was like, I just enjoyed this from start to finish. And then I say that with like incredibly emotional beats sprinkled in, where I was like a goddamn faucet tab, dude, like
Yeah,
bawling.
I want to hear
Like
about what made you pop
dude, the
for sure.
Rocky stuff, like
Yeah.
I said, like I texted Adriana because I knew we had seen it parallel, so I knew she had already seen it, and I texted her. I was like, "Yo, Dutch is getting a brother, and his name is gonna be Rocky." Like I was like so emotionally invested in that way, and like so that relationship, and again, this is why I'm even more sympathetic for showing it in the trailers, is the whole fucking movie to me. I didn't even give a shit about saving the fucking planets at the end, dude. I'm just like, are they ending up together? Are they gonna be close? Like, I was fucking like crying when they're leaving each other, and I'm like, fuck. Like, I was so like miffed. And then when shit goes wrong, I was like, oh, like again, like kind of thinking the movie was set to end, and then I'm like, and again feeling kind of shitty about that, and then I'm like, oh, the fucking thing. And he's like, but Rocky's whole ship is fucking made. I'm like, go back for him. Go back for him. Like, I was so like emotional. And then I'm like, well, how the fuck are they gonna? So I was just like, all of those kind of revelations and that entire ride of like when he dies and like, I'm gonna watch you sleep. Like I fucking cried there. Like I was
Yeah.
just like
Whole crew, no
devastated
wake
the
up.
whole time, dude. The
I
whole
got
time.
to. I think if I was
Oh.
watching this movie alone, I would have been like bawling. But I was like trying to rein it in because they're it's surrounded by
I'm sitting
people.
next to Sam trying to be like doing one of
Yeah.
these where I'm just
Just like I
trying to
didn't
be
want Evan to see me like wiping my
oh
I
dude,
kept
I was
checking on my
a
girlfriend the
absolute
whole
mess.
time because I went in like I was saying like, oh, she cried a lot and stuff, and I was like, I think you and I have a similar barometer for that. So I was like, my guard was up the whole movie, trying to not be like got by it. My girlfriend though was even more of a, again, average Eastern European woman experience, having great time. She we were going in and we were having dinner beforehand, and she saw a meme that was like cute plucky side character hallmarks, and it's just like, when your boyfriend doesn't say your cooking was amaze, or like when he doesn't say I watch you sleep now, and she's like, oh, this is gonna be so cringe. But if my girlfriend loves like three things, it is probably rocks, so that really helps. She has like a huge like crystal rock thing that she's obsessed with.
Oh yeah, I
So
remember.
yeah, so like the fact that it was this like beautiful rock creature, and she was like, I just love that it had no eyes but felt so much. And then on top of that, like it's like rocks, cats, and then I don't know. I don't know what the third thing is. Again, average Eastern European woman experience. But yeah, when Rocky was basically just a big house. Oh, sorry, ChatGPT. That's the third thing she loves. So when the Rock was this smart, logical problem solver that had the spirit of a cat and would look like a giant rock, she was like, this is the most adorable, cute, plucky side character. And it didn't help that after that meme, the first trailers were like the Grogu Mandalorian ones. She was like, oh no, this is what like is we're being set up for. And surely enough, yeah, when it was this
Much
faceless rock.
less effect. I'm gonna fucking guarantee
Yeah.
that. Book it. Call your
Yeah.
bookies. That's gonna be way shittier.
Yeah, so but yeah, long story long, yeah, I think the line that almost got me because I saw it get her was when Rocky was like, he's like, do you have a mate? Yeah, her name's Carl, whatever. He's like, well, how long you been together? And he's like, 184 years and 1/4. And then he's like, oh, pretty long time, huh? And he goes, not long enough. And I heard the whole theater go, oh, and then I looked over at Renata, my girlfriend, and she's just like, like just peeling the tears under her cheeks, and I was like, I got you, cute, plucky side character syndrome, my ass. Like that was great. I buttered her up. I'm actually bummed we never got to see Adrian at the end of the movie. She's implied to be there, obviously. She's the one helping facilitate stuff. But I really wanted to see Rocky nuzzle up with his boo thing because I was so invested in that relationship off screen. Anyways, that's all I have to say about that without losing it myself.
I think that was all the big emotional beats that I can remember. But literally, like I feel like the last like 30 minutes or whatever of the movie, I was just in more or less like a perpetual state of ebbing and flowing with tears of like, and just like the ending again, feeling so like it's in the same to me. I'm gonna classify this, and I'll need more time to watch, but like this exists in that same Top Gun Maverick atmosphere for me in terms of just like I could see someone, I'm sorry, I'm straw manning him right now, but like Nick being like, this is so lame and it's so like it, man, just being nihilistic about this.
Yeah.
There's
But
a lot of
like I
comments about that
fucking
already.
loved this, right? I guarantee it's not just Nick.
This
I
movie's a
love you, buddy.
parody, basically. Yeah,
But
yeah,
like
exactly.
but, like, to really complain about that and, like, the fact that, like, oh, well, he technically did save the world and got to be with Rock, like, it really bows a lot of all that up in the same way that kind of, Top Gun did, but, like, fucking like, I loved it. It's how it makes you feel and how it affects you, and I think, like, I was kinda blown away, like, when the credits started rolling, and I was just like, this is a movie for everybody that isn't just like an empty husk of a like I'm not saying that because it's generic, or I'm not saying that because it's just flat. Like, no, this is one that I was like young, old, like, experienced film goer, like barely sees a movie a year. Like everyone could watch this and have a great time. And I think that more than anything was like what kind of surprised me. I was not expecting that going into this movie. I honestly, and I granted, I haven't seen The Martian in an age, so maybe I need to rewatch that. But I was thinking, like, oh, like this would be more of that's like Interstellar-esque, bit more serious kind of version of this. And obviously I adore that movie too, but like this was just so fun. And I just
Yeah.
absolutely had such a great time with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, on like not crying in the theater and emotional beats. I didn't cry because I was trying to gaslight Shay and say he's too soft. So I was actively trying not to get emotional, which was really hard. I'm not like, but my watch, my fitness Apple Watch, clocked it. It was the scene where Rocky breaks his bubble to rescue Ryan Gosling, and he's like deteriorating. He's struggling. It looks so painful for this. It's like, thank God it was like a very stroby, epilepsy-inducing scene because everyone would have seen I was like so uncomfortable. I wanted to punch some drywall. I was like, no, Rocky, God damn it, no. Like, my watch though, it's like, hey, maybe you should take a break. Your heart rate's reached 120 beats per minute while resting. And I was like, just from that scene, I was like, so like, they better not kill this thing that I spent the whole movie trying not to fall in love with. Like, I was like, just again, like I felt it way harder than I expected, and I really expected this to be just like good popcorn movie. Like some of the criticism is like, oh, this is a kids movie, like it's not real cinema, but it's like not at all, man. Like, and again, talking about the ending, I was prepared for the ending-itis, but I didn't think it was that bad, honestly, compared to Return of the King, which I just saw this year again. So I was like, yeah, no, not nearly as dramatic. And the fact that it ends with that like book ending of him like he's now teaching like 8th grade to all the Iridians or whatever on the rock planet, and it makes sense again when they were talking about like was it nebulous for him to be shown not choosing to go on the mission. I think that reinforces his decision to stay because it's like he really had nothing left behind. He was forced out of the planet, and now he's choosing the planet he wants to be on. He's making choices as a character who felt like he's lost his potential, lost his drive. Even at the start when he's like, oh, I'm chosen because I have the most like alternative science take on like life forms that don't need water to exist or whatever. And then in the end, when he does his breakthrough and it's not, again, so much weird comedy. Like even my girlfriend was like, yeah, I finally started really laughing when he's like, oh, it's a hydrogen-based life form. And like everybody like MCU style was like, ha ha ha, in my theater. She laughed along too. And again, I say MCU style, but there was so many just like, like just jokes that were like very plucky and quippy, even when he walks in a good way, when he walks into like that NATO meeting with all the world leaders, and then he says something like, and then boom goes the dynamite, and then later what was the line, and then the Japanese pilot says it back to him, and he goes, I like this guy's really growing on me, and then they hard cut to the next scene. I was like, oh no, is this comedy style for the rest of the movie? It doesn't ever like fully leave that behind, but it really endears you with all these bigger beats and emotional scenes, and all the comedy was like kind of character based. It wasn't just like, oh man, I really wish I had Jurassic Park while I'm stuck out here in space. Like it was really like not a ton of reference humor, and it was about the characters and the situations they're in,
Yeah.
and some low hanging fruit of like, oh, this is the worst roommate of all time. Moved in, took up half my space, tells me to do something all the time, and then gets mad at me when I do it wrong. And they don't stop telling me how I'm doing it wrong. And I just like hard turn to my girlfriend like this, and she laughed really hard at that because that's again. But yeah. So,
A
anyways,
lot
yeah,
of
I
good
just
like
didn't
a lot
expect that.
of a lot of good physical comedy too from
Yeah.
like Ryan Gosling's and yeah, I don't know. I think it's his movie, like you said, Shay. Like
Mhm.
he just like carries it. Well, it's his and Rocky's movie. Let's be real. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but like, yeah, just really good showcase from him, comedically and emotionally, and like, I thought the movie also looked surprisingly good. I was like very
Oh,
blown away by that because
gorgeous.
I thought it was just gonna be like another typical, MCU style blockbuster level, but no,
Whatever
like
that
the
Disney
CGI.
set bullshit is that they use, the wall or whatever, where it makes everything look fucking terrible.
Yeah,
Ugh.
Yeah.
yeah. No,
The
it looked
void.
very good, like up there with like a lot
They
of great sci-fi. Like the CGI worked, the puppetry of Rocky was like so well done. Like he felt like a real creature. Um and just cinematography wise, I don't know. I thought it was like a step above what I was expecting going in because I
Mhm.
also beforehand I was like, oh, this is going to be like whatever, just like a mid kind of big budget blockbuster movie, and it just, yeah, exceeded all of my expectations, I think.
Yeah, even comparing it to like say Top Gun Maverick, like Shay's holy grail of blockbuster accessibility, that movie shot wise comparatively doesn't have the same literal flair that this one does. I was worried that this is going to feel like a J.J. Abrams movie with based on the trailer with like all the dirty frames and lens flare effects. But when so many of those effects are achieved in camera from like the prisms that Rocky was living in and making and stuff, and just like the whole alien ship and alien world that was just like basically so aesthetically interesting and so cosmic that I really dug it. Like it all worked. It wasn't just like, the J.J. Abrams Star Trek where it's like, here's Star Trek, but everything has a bleeding lens flare anamorphically through your frame. So yeah, I thought the visuals were like one of the strongest parts, and it just elevated something that was already really, really good. So yeah, totally agree on that. And
Well, I
apparently they didn't
saw
use any green screens, so that's like wild. I would love to see behind the scenes on this.
That's what I was gonna get into, because I think a lot of this, and I've seen all these beats again. I don't know. Well, I guess maybe his recent movie there that we all hated, but that Gore Verbinski. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about VFX again popping up lately, and this movie being a good reason to have these discussions again. And a lot of it has to do with actually filming things with the intent, and even if you don't have the full effect there, like they talked about how they shot the astrophage like collection scene when they were in the red and everything, and like how there's like Gosling still like reaching to touch things that aren't there, but like they have this laid out in such a way and they're filming it that the crew and cat like they were getting emotional watching the unaffected unenhanced version of that sequence, because it's like they still have things that are present to sort of recreate a feeling and add to this, and then it literally kind of is like a makeup effect almost in essence to really kind of finish and flush this out, as opposed to just being like, just grab a fake ball and pretend we've done it and we'll make it all in post. It just has that feeling of sort of inauthenticity, and the way this movie looked so good, I think, is precisely because it didn't rely on all of these sort of the volume, by the way, is what it's called, that Disney uses for all their stuff, that creates that weird visual style of backgrounds and drops that are all fake. But again, this, like, I felt like, not that I was like, necessarily like in space, but like I didn't feel like I was watching a movie where they're trying to show me a background of space. Like it had that like kind of just natural feeling to it, and the combination between that and the physical sets and locations that they use, like I thought were amazing. And like just to like see a movie like this where like that's not one of my like, oh yeah, it was really great, in spite of the fact it looked like shit and everything else, it didn't. And I think that's a huge testament, and is one of those things that I think probably, at least in part, speaks to the word of mouth of this movie. Is it may be like kind of narratively like this is a story we've seen before, kind of like on a high level, but the execution of it is done so well that I think that's what's really spurred the word of mouth and has allowed this to be, it's like something like, it's like tracking now for 140 million worldwide opening weekend. Like that's crazy. And especially in this day and age, and this year was already off to a better start than last year. This is only going to build on that. And yeah, I was just so excited to be like this excited about a movie, because I felt like last year there was a lot of things I like, kind of like there was a few things I loved, but a lot of it fell in this like kind of gamut of like, oh, it was really exciting and I enjoyed that, but like I wasn't like incredibly impacted by it. And this was the total opposite. Like I just was blown away. Like I had like Gosling's been on a run. I'm like, ugh. Like I have not liked his most recent stuff, kind of like around Barbie, and with that being the only exception. And so like I really, I
Both
think,
basically
went
you're
in
just
with
saying the
low
fall guy,
hopes.
right?
Well, there was that, the Gray Man or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like he
Oh
has been doing,
yeah.
like if you look at his, it's been a minute, but if
Yeah.
you look at his filmography, it's basically been the last almost 8 years where Barbie and now this are the only things that I've liked that he's done.
Speaking of Barbie,
So
though, Barbenheimer and therefore Oppenheimer opened to 30 million opening day, and this got, I think,
yeah,
33 million opening day. So just speaking of like scale and what to expect, I think Oppenheimer made something like it's like 890 million or something, like crazy. So
Mhm.
like
Just
this is
shy of a
really
billion. Yeah,
resonating. Yeah.
953 million or something
So
like
I
that.
could see this getting to a billion, like just with the opening weekend we've had. Um,
Yeah.
Also, I was going to mention this when you talked about like the cast and crew welling up, watching him like do this effect. Not to derail us too much, but literally a week ago, I'm working on a streaming show, and we were filming the scene of a guy begging for his life about to be dropped off a rooftop, and it was all green screen. It was like as a set dresser, I put in one railing at the top of this staircase that led to like they're superheroes, so they blew open a wall and he was going to drop this guy out the roof. So the long story though is we watched like a 5-minute take where a guy's begging for his life, and he's basically monologuing upside down on a wire for the stunt, and he's going on, and then and they're like, okay, and drop him, and then they drops him, falls down, hits the pad, and you're like, okay, and cut, and then the whole cast and crew start clapping, and it was like, wow, this is like watching like live theater. This is great. I forgot we have like real actors in streaming shows. Like this is awesome. So I could only imagine, like again, somebody like Ryan Gosling with this crew of people having those moments. If I felt that on I can't say with my NDA, but the show that I'm on for a streaming thing, that I can't imagine how this would have felt for this type of feature and impact they're going for.
No, honestly, I think to kind of bridge this all together, like unbelievably great movie, and go see this. And I don't know about you guys, like I know I do this more than most people, so I'm not exactly a good barometer on if this is a universal feeling, but I'm incredibly excited to watch this again. I really like with the bigger format is one of the benefits too, but I think like yeah, it just fuck this movie. Like I had some people texting me about this movie, not just because of the review. Like my mom was excited to go see it. My friend Connor is excited to go see it. My cousin Adam texted me and was like, dude, I am like in Adam works in film too. And he's like, bro, I have not felt this way leaving a theater in a long, long time. And the fact that this is not only just as a movie was unlocking something that I thought was kind of lost in me, it was also that it's connecting and it is actually like with audiences, and that this is getting success, and it's like who cares about the business, and it's like whatever. It's like no, this is a critical component, and I really kind of get irritated when people are like, well, who cares how much money it makes. Well, okay, like yeah, ultimately at a core level the best part is that it was made, right? But at the same time, if we want more movies to be made like this, they need to be viable. And like if I want theaters to exist, that needs to be a viable place for movies to go. So like, yeah, I fucking care when this movie comes out and does gangbusters like that. And yeah, I'm just incredibly glad that this is coming out when it is, and is even half as good as it is. I was just consistently blown away by this movie. If you've made it this far, I hope you guys felt the exact same way I did. And yeah, fuck, I love the movies, man. I love this.
I would say
Amen.
too, quick shout out before we wrap up. My friend Kyle from our hometown of Owen Sound, he was seeing all of our posting and reviews and stuff, and he's like, "Dude, I'm so glad you guys are talking about this." I started reading the book after seeing all these like viral marketing things for the movie. So I started reading the book, and not opening weekend because he said that would literally be impossible with like the volume of people going. But he's like, I'm going to drag 5 of my friends from work to go see this, and I'm making them see this because like A, it looks so good, and he's like 80% of the book. And I was like, Godspeed, God bless you. You are a true champion of cinema for our small town. So it feels good to make an impact talking about it. And I mean, this would blow up regardless. But I'm just it's so nice to talk about something so good. I'm so glad your first solo review was on a movie you loved so much, and I'm so glad our new format of being, right off the cuff spoiler talk is on a movie that's so enjoyable. I feel like discussing movies that are a lot more mid, it gets a little tiresome, and not every movie can be a home run. But when it is, again, just so glad it's recognized, talked about, and the box office reflects that for sure.
Well, on that note, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you want to keep up with what we're doing, Follow us on all our social medias. The links are in the descriptions of this episode. Again, keep an eye out for more content. We're going to get stuff from Brandon on socials. We're going to have more of those kind of solo review videos as well, more written articles for the website. So we're really expanding what we're doing, and we're very excited about that. And we hope you guys are too. So until next time, I'm Shay signing off for Adriana and Brandon. See you at the movies.